You're watching CW Montana. This is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Friday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Across the state tonight, the Montana State Campus police officer on suspension this evening after a traffic stop. We'll have the details on what went wrong coming up. A recovering addict with a passion for helping others opens her own recovery center here in Montana. How her own struggles will now make a positive impact on others. But first, state politicians making moves today. Who is jumping in and who is teaming up? Democratic candidate for governor Mike Cooney unveiled his pick for a running mate today, and it just so happens to be a former rival. Minority Leader Casey Schreiner of Great Falls, who until this month was running for governor himself, will join Cooney on the ticket. Cooney says Schreiner, who is 37 years old, is part of the, quote, next generation of Montana Democrats who will fight for the rights and privileges of Montana working families. He also took a shot at the Democrats' potential rival for governor in the general election.
The people in this room and people all across the state know what will happen if Greg Gianforte and all the extremist Republican legislators he can buy control the governor's office. They will steal health care from Montanans. They will dismantle our public education system. They will privatize our public lands, and frankly, they'll bust our budget.
Cooney is one of two Democrats running for governor. The other is Whitney Williams. She plans to announce a running mate on Monday. And three Republicans, including Gianforte, are also running. Now, Gianforte is expected to announce his pick in Billings on Sunday night. Republican Senator Steve Daines makes it official, filing for re-election today. He did so in Conrad, where his great-great-grandmother homesteaded nearly 5 generations ago. Senator Daines says it's been an honor serving the people of the state. President Trump has endorsed Daines for Senate. His Republican challenger in the race is Dan Larson, a hardware store manager out of Stevensville. And another Republican throws his name in the hat for Montana's lone U.S. House seat in 2020. Retired Army National Guard officer Mark McKinley of Dillon has filed. He currently works as an admissions counselor for the Montana Youth Challenge program. He's the 5th Republican to file for the state's only U.S. House seat. McKinley says his background in the military and education make him an ideal candidate to represent the whole state. Well, the state's top election law enforcer has rejected a complaint alleging Democratic Attorney General candidate Rafe Graybill is ineligible to run for office. Now, that complaint states that Graybill did not meet the requirement of having actively practiced law for at least 5 years before the election. But the State Commissioner of Political Practices ruled in favor of Graybill, saying he has met the constitutional requirement. Graybill is one of 4 people running for Montana's Attorney General seat. It appears a Bozeman man already serving 220 years for killing his wife and shooting another woman will not face additional charges. The Gallatin County Attorney's Office has requested 2 charges be dropped against Joseph DeWise, tampering with evidence and assault on an officer. The tampering charge stemmed from DeWise calling his daughter from prison and asking her to blame his son for the crimes. DeWise was sentenced earlier this month for the death of his wife Lauren and the shooting of her roommate. The judge approved dropping the tampering charge. The assault on an officer charge is still pending. And another Bozeman man admits to shooting and killing his roommate outside their home last year. In a plea deal, William Bailey admits to deliberate homicide in the death of Cynthia Wills. Court documents show Bailey became upset with Wills last April, claiming she was spending time with another man. Bailey grabbed a gun from his room, telling officers he felt threatened, and then shot her in the driveway. Well, a police officer at Montana State University faces a 4-day suspension. On January 8th, campus police say Angela Roundtree was called in as backup after a woman was pulled over for speeding. Documents show the woman started recording video on her phone, and at one point, Roundtree can be heard saying, "This isn't where you came from." A report released by MSU says Roundtree got into a verbal altercation with the woman and placed both parties in unnecessary danger.
The officer's actions were unprofessional, discourteous, and antagonistic. We were unable to substantiate racial bias. We value our strong relationship with the community, and having open communication is the best way to go about that.
Now, the acting assistant chief tells MTN the department may look into additional training for officers in the future. A Butte theater where hundreds of children grow as actors and people each year now faces serious financial issues. Tonight, MTN's John Amy takes us inside and behind the curtain to learn more.
It's getting harder for the Orphan Girl Children's Theater in Butte to keep its curtain open as operations costs continue to expand.
We've created a gap that at this time just seems insurmountable. It just seems like we can't close that gap.
The nonprofit theater has more than 300 children participating each year, which organizers say does more than just put on plays and musicals.
We're teaching life skills. These kids are learning about empathy. They're learning how to collaborate, how to be an ensemble. We're setting them up for success.
The theater offers educational programs and goes out to schools to address issues like bullying and depression. The directors describe the theater as a tight family that supports one another.
One of our kids shared with me this week that this place saved his life. He didn't have a home. He was uncomfortable with himself as a person. He didn't have a place, he didn't fit in, and then he found this.
The Orphan Girl Theater. It's been a tradition in Butte for more than 20 years, but it needs funding to continue. And like the great Shakespeare said, without funding, the Orphan Girl is just a poor player who struts and frets his hour upon stage and is heard no more.
It's a home for myself, for the kids. I mean, I moved out here to take this job, so I already knew moving out here that this place would be special. So,
it's tough.
Yeah.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Thanks, John. And John tells us there are several fundraisers going on to help the theater, including a concert Saturday evening at the Finland Hotel. Well, 1 in 10 Montanans is dependent on or is abusing drugs or alcohol. That's according to a 2017 study of substance abuse across the state. Now, that high rate creates a demand for more recovery. The Great Falls Addiction Center Seeking Recovery is a center that takes a disease-based approach to issues of addiction. It treats users as those with a disease and their dependency as a symptom. The new center will offer group therapy and discussion, along with space for clients to use and an emotional support animal. Seeking Recovery owner Joanne Malone struggled with addiction herself and uses her personal experiences to relate to her clients.
A lot of the clients know that I know what it's like to go through withdrawals. I know what it's like to not have your family talk to you. I know what it's like to live on the streets. I know what this is like, but you can do this. There's life after addiction, and I'm living proof of that.
Now, the center is moving to downtown Great Falls on Monday. Well, wash your hands well and avoid people who are sick. That's the message tonight as nearly 1,200 new cases of influenza are confirmed across Montana. In week 8, 1,147 new cases were reported, bringing the statewide total so far this flu season to more than 7,300. The flu has hospitalized 306 people in the state, and 6 people have died. The western side of the state getting hit the hardest. For the second week in a row, Flathead reports the most new cases with 140. Gallatin County still has the most reported cases at more than 1,200. Well, with the warmer than average temperatures around the state, allergists say allergy season may be coming a little bit early this year. If the warmer weather continues, pollen could start as early as March and April. Now, usually April and May are the months heavy with tree pollen. Those with grass sensitivities will usually start to notice their allergies act up around July. Allergists suggest those with allergies be proactive in preventing pollen from getting into your homes.
You're not going to live in a bubble and never go outside and enjoy Montana, but if you can make your bedroom your bubble, that helps a lot. So I recommend people shower in the evenings before going to bed. Don't wear the clothes that you've been out playing in all day into the bedroom. Don't lay down on your bed in the clothes that you went out hiking in.
And Mangold says a plus for allergy sufferers, old snow can often create mold spore, but since we don't have much snow this year, that hasn't been such a big problem. Well, Highline Angus Ranch near Three Forks held its 41st annual bull sale today. 2 ranches brought together about 60 bulls to be sold at auction at the Headwaters Livestock in Three Forks, Montana. The Highline Angus Ranch owner tells us prices for these bulls can vary from $4,000 to as high as $20,000.
It's an adrenaline deal. The purebred livestock industry it's like an adrenaline rush. If you really knock one out of the park, I mean, it's the highest high you'll ever feel. And if you have a really bad one, it's the lowest low you can ever feel. That's the key.
Highline Angus Ranch is family owned and has been in business for more than 60 years. Well, there's more to come tonight on the statewide 9 o'clock news. Eagles showing up to the Montana Raptor Center with lead poisoning. We'll show you what's being done to save them.
Did you see how nice it was today, Jeanelle? It was a great day across all of eastern Montana. A lot of 50s all over the place. In western Montana, it was the same story. A lot of 50s, but coming up on Saturday, a new snowstorm moves into the west. We'll chat about that coming up after the break.